Hi everyone, this is part 5 of my storytelling, fundraising, podcast series. As of right now, this is my final episode within the storytelling, fundraising podcast series. This is because this is my final week in my internship with the Borgen Project. Even though I am planning other activities with the organization, they are not official at this time. As such, as of right now, this is my final episode within the Storytelling Fundraising podcast series. However, I am considering other ideas, such as continuing this podcast series as the Storytelling podcast series, essentially the podcast series without the fundraising part. However, as of right now, as said, this is going to be the final episode. Albeit, this is going to be a special episode, which would be about 40 to 50 minutes or so. As such, please enjoy the show. Chapter 2. Arrival. Manhattan, New York, NBC News headquarters. The newscaster turns to the camera as behind him, crowds of people rush outside. Hello, this is Alexander Magellan. We bring you live to New York. We are receiving reports from all over the world. A massive object has appeared in Earth orbit. We are not sure what this object is or where it came from, but we are getting reactions from the White House about this. White House, Washington, D.C. President's Lounge. President and staff are conversing and eating breakfast together when an aide rushes into the room, urgently walking up to him, whispering into his ear. The cheerful room fell silent as the president became stony-faced. Excuse me, he says, as he bursts out the door, the aide following closely behind. Moscow, Russia, UN Office of Outer Space Affairs Headquarters. Staff are scrambling to ascertain the situation as calls ring all over the place. Get me Osta, orders the director. I want to know what the heck's going on. Peking, China. Osta Headquarters. The UN is calling for answers, screams a staff member into chaos. The director looks at the TVs to then place her hand on her head. Is this the anomaly we've been tracking? Get me Lunar Horizons 2, she orders. Ask why they didn't see this coming. She looks back at the screens in awe. Oh my gosh. Lunar Horizons 2, President's Office. The President is on the phone. Why didn't you call us earlier? The voice says as she places a hand on her head. We had no time to react. That thing came out of nowhere. A staff member barges into the room. Ma'am President, she says, her mouth breathing heavily. Please hold, the President says as she sets the phone down and turns to the staff member. What now? The object, the staff member says, shocked. The object's a spaceship. How can you be so sure? The President asks, shaking her head. The staff member hands her a tablet. That thing. We detected signals coming from it. The President, looking at the tablet, shakes her head again. This could be something else. The staff member shakes her head. No. These signals are remarkably similar to those from the archives, like the WOW signal. She reports, her eyes beaming. This is phenomenal! The President walks back to the phone. Hello? She asks. This thing. It's a spaceship. What? The caller asks, astonished. The President looks to the staff member and gestures. We have proof, she says, sending it out. Back and nose to headquarters. Everything comes here, orders the director. We need everyone to keep us updated. She gestures to staff members. Pardon me, Director, the staff member interjects. The public is hysteric. What should we tell them? The director turns to him. Tell them it's a spaceship. We will compile all the info and release it when we get it. We received a confirmed report from Osta, says the Frenzy news anchor. The object is indeed a spaceship from another world. She places her hand on her head. God help us all. Washington, D.C. Pentagon. Are they hostile? Asks an official. I don't know, answers another official. Order initialization of DEFCON 2, prompts a general. Order swift mobilizations of any, and if possible, all military forces available. Any follow-up subordinates will be made by me. In military bases all over the planet, alarms blare as personnel bolt to battle stations, fearing the worst to come. Planes take to the skies as military officials attempt to interpret the situation. Back in Grandpa's house, the three are still watching the TV with thoughts rolling in their heads when Chris glances out the window. Let's go home, he says, turning to Jacob. Grandpa nods. We'll see you two later? Chris nods. Yes, we'll be back. Bye, they say to each other as they exit the house. Jacob turns on the radio, while entering the car with Chris. Daniel, the radio announcer asks, what do you think of our response to the aliens in orbit? The man sighs. Christine, he says, to be frank, our response is hysteric. Osta not warning us the public about this beforehand, militaries around the world now on high alert, President Simmons not responding to concerns from the public, and more? This makes us look bad in front of the aliens. How do you think we continue? Asks the radio announcer. I believe we should calm ourselves down, then observe our own actions, and finally know how they would react to us. Thank you, Daniel, the news announcer says. President Simmons is hosting a news conference now in the White House. Our reporter Josh Rivera is there. White House, Washington, D.C. Press briefing room. President Earl Simmons of the United States! A man introduces the president, who firmly walks to the podium. My fellow Americans, the president says to the crowd of reporters and TV cameras. My staff and I have been informed recently of the spaceship in Earth orbit. I strongly urge everyone to calm down as we are approaching the situation with utmost care and respect. But doing so requires everyone to do their part and not incite violence or fear or face the law the authorities hold them accountable for. After entering through the door, Chris turns on the lights and strolls into the kitchen. Everything in the house remains as it had been yesterday. Turning on the stove, Chris takes out a package of meat, oils the pan, and slaps the meat right on it. He hears the TV turned on, and repetitive news of the alien ship filling the house. Jacob, he says, dinner's ready. No answer. Chris goes around the couch and sits in the chair adjacent to it. What's wrong? He asks. Jacob nods. Chris, understanding more about what his son's feeling, sighs and says, I'm really sorry for not responding to your calls. I know you were busy. I was given an assignment to go back to Europe, like all the other assignments you had when Mom and I didn't see you for months, sometimes not even years. I was working for the family. Chris sighs. You just don't understand. I understand, Jacob responds, that your job is more important than your family. Chris feels his heart bleeding. I work for the family, he responds, his voice breaking. I sacrifice everything to provide what you and Mom need. He sees Jacob respond disgusted. Chris sighs again to stand up. If only you love me as much as Mom loves me, Jacob utters back to him as he walks back to the kitchen. Chris, feeling his heart heavy, turns to Jacob. Dinner's ready on the table if you need it, Chris states. Sydney, Australia. Lab. Scientists chat with one another. Here's video from IO3, says the scientist, as the rest of the group looks into the computers playing looped video of light and coming out of it, a shining, submarine-shaped ship. Can we slow it down? Asks her male colleague. The woman types, and then looks back to her group in amazement. This ship came out of light in 500th of a second. The whole group gasps. Send this to OSTA, says another scientist, and relay this to our friends in Canada. I want to know what we don't see. Montreal, Canada. Lab. Chemists have their eyes glued to the computers as data comes in. Wow, one says amazed. This is incredible. He looks to his colleagues. Examine the EMS coming from this. We must know if there are any new elements we haven't discovered yet. After examining the samples, a woman turns to him. There are elements not Earth-related, she says, awe-inspired while handing over the results to him. She places her hand on her head. After examining the results, the man turns to the team to tell the news. Chris suddenly woke to the sound of buzzing and ringing of his phone. He picks it up. Hello? Hi, Chris. It's me, Steve. Hi, Steve. Chris rubs his eyes. What's up? It's something important. Tomorrow, can you meet me at the coffee shop downtown? What for? Steve sighs. It's too exclusive to talk on the phone. I would rather meet and talk with you in person. All right. Chris grabs a pen and paper. When should we schedule? 10 o'clock? 10 o'clock it is, Chris says, writing it down. See you then. Likewise, Steve replies. After putting down the phone, Chris dozed off while looking at the time. Once the sun came up, Chris turns to Jacob, casual clothes on. I gotta go. Where? Meeting with Steve. Jacob nods. Can you also go to the store? We need more food. He hands Chris a list of things to buy. Will do, Chris says in return. Love you, Jacob says. Love you too, Chris replies as he exits the door. Entering the busy coffee shop, Chris sees Steve at the table, coffee and donuts ready for him. Chris, Steve gestures. Come, sit. Chris feels anxious while sitting beside him. Sorry, Steve, for being late, he says. There's too many detours on my way here. Don't be, the director says back. Chris nods. Steve, what you'd like to talk with me about? Steve takes a sip of coffee. Later today, I'm going to be consulting with the aliens on galactic commerce, feeling both surprised and curious. What do these aliens look like? Chris asks. And what are their intentions? They call themselves Xenophon, Steve responds. They're humanoid, like us, and they say they're going to address the human race later today. How did you meet them? We met via wireless communications. So far, I've only seen their faces, but when they finally come down to Earth, I have to give them a good first impression. He nods. I ask you, would you like to be on my team? Chris sighs. I'm honored, sir. However, I have other plans for today. What types of plans? The bombing, Chris answers back. My wife was in it, and she's been in the hospital since 2 days ago. I'm going there again today to check on her. I understand. Steve nods. Thank you, Chris nods as they shake hands. You're welcome, Steve replies. Chris grabs his phone as it buzzes. After a few minutes of talking through it, he turns to Steve. I gotta go. Steve nods. Have a nice day. You too, Chris replies as he goes out the door. Chris and Jacob are placing food in the house when the TV blacks out to show a light, pale, white-skinned humanoid. Stopping where they are, the two approach the TV. We come in peace. My name is High Knight Vindigus Loriago, the figure says, as all over the solar system, the message is transmitted through TVs into each individual nation's native language. I come to represent the Xenophon species, one of the many representing the galactic community, a variety of diverse nations throughout countless systems. We have been observing your species and are impressed by improvements made over the generations. Why didn't they come before? Jacob asks Chris. Chris shushes him. Unfortunately, we were unable to make contact in the past, since instability created tension throughout the centuries. This ship I am on consists of my battalion and 4 species specifically designated to coexist with one another as we travel throughout the galaxy, exploring. After negotiating with the United Nations, we consulted a fair lottery where we picked 2 people at random from each individual nation to participate in being part of a 4 Earth month voyage to explore throughout the galaxy. Voyagers who do not wish to participate on the trip have the option to deny the offer. I'm interested, Chris nods. This voyage includes reimbursement to individuals in any circumstances. During this journey, passengers are provided with the best amenities available, including hotels, food, and more. To add, with the consultation of OSTA and the UN, we positioned a satellite in orbit whose purpose is to modify frequencies from all over the galaxy throughout the Sol system. Information such as this, the voyage lottery, and more can be found all on the UN website. Chris pulls out his phone, contemplating what the alien said. We thank the UN and OSTA for their understanding, sincerely apologize for any unsettledness we cause, and on behalf of the Xenophon people, welcome to the galactic community. The TV suddenly went blank and back to normal programming. Jacob looks to Chris. Is this true? Are they real? After examining the site, Chris nods. It's legit, he says, and giving his phone to Jacob to see. I can't fathom how advanced they are. Maybe they're advanced enough to save Mom, Jacob nods. Dad, I know what's going on, he bluntly says. Mom got shot and she's in coma, Chris sighs. I'm as worried as you are. He sits with Jacob on the couch. Will she get better? Chris nods. Yes, she will. He consoles him. I hope so, Jacob nods. Me too. Kristen gestures. Can I have my phone back, please? Jacob hands back the phone to him. He goes to his room where he reads the voyage package. There, something caught his eyes. This registration package expires within 1 week. Chris scratches his head. He places his phone back in his pocket. I need time to think. While he goes outside and sits on the steps, a spokesman declares, We're de-escalating to DEFCON 3. Chris exits the house and sits on the steps. While pondering the idea of voyaging into the unknown, a brown-haired drunk man carrying a burning cigar and a can of ale approaches him. "Chris," the man says. "Craig," Chris replies, wary. "How's life?" "Life's good. Andy's got a job on Lunar now." "What's that?" "Farming. That's all I know." "Nice. Those aliens." Chris gazes upward. "Why are they here?" "It's a hoax," Craig responds, his cigarette between his teeth. "It's all a hoax." "What makes you say that?" Chris asks, whiffing away the smoke. "What they're saying," Craig nods, "it all means nothing. Nothing but a hoax." Seeing the conversation go nowhere, Chris stands up and enters back into the house. "Where are you going?" Craig replies as Chris shuts the door. The man stands up and leaves. Chris and Jacob enter the frenzied hospital. They catch eye of Grandpa sitting and go up to him. "How's Mom?" Jacob asks. "She's still in coma, and they're performing surgery on her now," Grandpa, with his hand on his head, replies. The three feverishly wait, while witnessing families break down, some bolting out the hospital doors. A nurse approaches them. "Mr. Wagner?" "Yes," Chris says as he walks away from the group to talk to her. Jacob and Grandpa stare at them attentively. "We've removed most of the bullets and shrapnel from her," the nurse replies. "However, there's a problem." "What is it?" "Some bullets are glowing like fireflies." She hands him a photo. "Two near her heart, one deep in between the mandible and cranium. So far, there's nothing we could find serious other than that." "Could you get it out?" "Not likely." "Why?" "We don't have the expertise or resources available enough to perform a procedure like this." Chris nods. "What bullets are these?" "We don't know," the nurse responds vaguely. "Why is she in coma?" "She went for serious amounts of pain," the nurse responds frankly. "How long will she remain in coma?" "We are not sure." Chris takes a deep breath. "Thank you," and he returns back to the group. "She's still got bullets in her. Two near her heart, one deep in her head." He briefs the two. "They can't get it out because they say they don't have the training or the stuff to do something like this." "If only we have the tech like back in my day," Grandpa reminisces. "I remember when if you had stuff like this, we can go to a clinic and get it fixed in hours." Chris thinks again of the Xenophon. With their advanced technology, they could help Rachel. As he contemplates this, Grandpa turns to him. "What are you thinking?" "Nothing," Chris responds bluntly. "Let's head on home," he says to Jacob. The two stand up and leave. It's late at night, and Chris has been thinking deeply when the doorbell rings. He got up from the couch and opened it. He peers out the door, and then sees on his doorstep a white envelope. Who left this here? He picks it up and closes the door. He opens it, and out comes a piece of paper. Letter of Confidentiality. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Dear Mr. Wagner, my name is Wallace, and my associates and I have been following up on the recent Canberra factory bombings. We have information relating to this, and we would like to talk with you in person. We already have set a time and place to do so. 10 a.m., Goldway Park, 784 Fairway Drive, New York, New York, 34879. If you're not interested, ignore this message. Otherwise, meet me there and we'll talk. Sincerely, Wallace. The next day, Chris enters a small, secluded park and sees no one else but a well-dressed young man sitting by a bench with a portfolio. The man catches eye of him, gestures, and Chris comes over to sit next to him. Wallace? Chris asks, the man nodding instantaneously in reply. What makes you and your superiors contact me? This, Wallace says, handing him a photo. The bullets found in your wife are radioactive. How's this possible? I thought these were banned a century ago. Even though the big warriors left the playing field, their weapons stayed behind so others can use them. How long is she expected to survive? With our tech, approximately 5 weeks. But thanks to the Xenophim, she'll remain stable for the next 4.5 months. Chris giving a sigh of relief. The nurse told me they don't have the tech nor the experience to remove these bullets. Wallace nods. We've regressed a lot since the war. He hands Chris another sheet of paper. That's why we're inviting you onto the voyage. After reading it, who's we? Both our superiors and more. Why? We need the tech, not just for your wife, but for our civilization to get back on our feet. Why me? You're effective in dealing with nations, Wallace comments, have a dedicated mindset, and mostly come up with success. Given the gravity of the situation, we need the best people to make a great first appearance with the Xenophim. Are there more people than just me? Yes, there are people from all walks of life going on this voyage. Will my family be reimbursed? Yes, Wallace instantly replies. After thinking it over a little, I accept the invite, Chris said. Good. Wallace pulls out a sheet of paper and pen. Just sign here and we'll let you know. Chris looks over the paper where something caught his eye. I agree to take high-level physicals, have nanobots injected into my blood, taking rigorous firearm and safety training courses, participate in an economical briefing, meet new species with utmost care and gratitude on this voyage. Why do I need nanobots injected into me? Those are Xenophim nanobots. They told us they help with almost anything, from any type of disease to different planetary conditions. Are they gonna stay in me forever? Wallace nods. No. They will be removed via patch once you come home. Why do I need to take firearm training courses? We've heard there are hostile races out in the galaxy, so we're taking the necessary precautions. In case if you meet anyone, you know what you have to do. Thinking everything over, Chris finally makes his decision and signs the paper. The two shake hands. Thank you, Mr. Wagner, Wallace says as they both stand on their feet. I will report back to my superiors and will let you know. Thank you, Chris says, looking at the paper. Would I get a copy of this? Yes, Wallace nods, as they both walk out of the park. It will arrive within 3 to 5 business days. Have a nice day. Likewise, Chris says, as they both part ways. Chris enters back into the house to see Jacob and Grandpa. How was it? Grandpa asks. They offered me to go on the trip. Chris responds instantaneously. I accepted it. When are you leaving? Next Friday. Dad? Jacob asks. What are those bullets? Chris sits down with them to discuss the matter, as the ecstatic mood turns serious. After debriefing them, they say with the Xenophim tech, she'll last for 4.5 months. That's odd. Grandpa has his hand on his mouth. Since the Xenophim's so advanced, why can't they remove the bullets themselves? I don't know, Chris responds bluntly. All we can do is speculate. I'm curious about 2 things, Grandpa says. The nanobots and firearms training. Could the nanobots be used more than being your first aid kit? Chris rubs his chin. Since they're Xenophim, yes they can. Nice. Back in my day, We had nanobots like these, which can cure heart disease. Grandpa nods. Are you going to war? Wallace says there's hostile species out there, hence this is necessary. You'll need more than just a gun to defend yourself, Grandpa recollects. During the war, I had to learn to think quickly, act effectively, and be reasonable, so the mission is a success. Don't assume a gun can save your life. It can also take it. Feeling what Grandpa is saying, Chris nods in agreement. I'll remember that. What's going to happen to me? Jacob asks. Mom, and the house. You will be staying with Grandpa until I'm back. Chris looks at Grandpa. You two can watch over her in the house? Yes. Grandpa stands up and turns to Chris. I gotta return home now. Good luck. The next day, Chris is at work, working on his laptop, when a red-headed man enters his office. Anderson, Chris greets. What brings you here? I've been wondering. He sits down. Why didn't we panic like people said we would? What do you mean? Anderson puts his hand on his mouth. It was shocking when the Xenophon came, yet we handled it so calmly, and everything went back to normal. Not everything is glorious like the day we won the war. I get it. It's just weird. Life's weird. Chris laughs briefly. Yep, it is. Anderson stands. Well, better get back to work. Nice talking with you. Same to you, Chris says, as Anderson exits the room. He types into his computer when an email pops up. He feels insecure while clicking it. Highly classified. Email permanently deletes after closing window. Window automatically closes in 10 minutes. To whom it concerns. Tomorrow, by 7 a.m., report for physical briefing to Donald Jacobs Hospital, 768 Gerald Street, Newark, New Jersey, 43833. You will report to Dr. Strauss and Xenophon Dr. Aniba. Please do not be late. If you wish not to participate in the voyage, ignore this message. Thank you. UNSC. Xenophon Hierarchy. USG. Transmitted through FBI. After writing down the address on a sheet of paper, Chris closes the window and continues working. Chapter 3. Preparations. Chris enters the hectic hospital. Weaving around nurses and patients, he heads to the front desk. Good morning, the receptionist greets. How may I help you today? I'm here for Dr. Strauss. Instantaneously, she stands up and turns to one of her co-workers to take her position. Follow me, she says, leading him down the maze of hallways to a hospital room. Wait here, she says, exiting the door. While waiting, Chris thinks what to expect while feeling anxiety if he's well enough for the trip into the unknown. When the door opens to reveal one black-haired Austrian doctor carrying a clipboard and a syringe on a plate, and another light-skinned humanoid alien towering over him. Chris feels both astonished and intimidated, meeting an alien whose features are so similar yet so different to humans. A 7-foot, fresh-faced being with, in place of the nose, 2 hog-nosed snake-like nostrils, a cover of skin in place of the ears, 2 long arms with 4-fingered hands, and 2 legs with feet in opaque paper-white shoes. Good morning, says the man. I'm Dr. Strauss, and this is my associate, Dr. Aniba. You must be Chris. Yes. What brings you here, Dr. Aniba? I speed up the procedure for anyone going on the trip, the Xenophon says with his smooth, young American accent as he pulls a cylinder-shaped device from his shining white robe. It's a simple matter. Flabbergasted. You know English? The Xenophon nods. It's the nanobots. They can do amazing things, as you will find out. What's that you're holding? Chris asks, as the cylinder simultaneously begins to open up to green holograms and hover in midair. The doctor engages with the holograms. You can call this Deus Ex Machina. We use this for normal doctor visits on our worlds, and it can be used to treat anything, from a virus to radiation burning and anyone you can think of. Curious, what are you doing? An instantaneous burst of light from the device blinds his eyes. Scanning everything about your body, from your bone density to your breath, for the nanobots. They can't help you without knowing you first. Is it mandatory to have nanobots injected into you in the galaxy? The Xenophim nods. Yes. Without it, you're subject to multiple factors, such as copious diseases, mind-boggling language barriers, and different planetary environments. They help minimize these effects by taking direct action, when needed. Looking at the syringe. So we're injecting the nanobots into me today? Yes. Do I have to stay in a containment building for this? No. We are the pinnacle in galactic tech, so we don't have any containment buildings, unless there's anything we can't cure. Dr. Strauss looks at him, astonished. So you can cure diseases here on Earth? We can teach and advise you, replies Xenophim, assessing the data, but we don't want to intervene in another culture's dilemmas. It's what you'd call our prime directive. He grabs a small bottle of transparent fluid, which pops out of the device. So, when do you intervene? Chris asks as Dr. Strauss preps a syringe for injection. We intervene when two or more cultures clash with one another. Then, Chris stops as he feels the sting of the syringe going into him. Why didn't you intervene in any of our wars? The Xenophim sighs. We didn't intervene because we knew if we were, we would take sides in one species' civil war. This would further complicate the situation and therefore extend destruction of your kind. So why now? We came now because this is the time when hostilities are minimal and the situation simpler. Hence, it provided the opportunity to contact everyone in this species. The device closes as he nods over to Dr. Strauss, who's writing notes down on his clipboard. I'm going to ask questions about you and your family, he says. Have you been sick recently? No. Do you exercise a lot? No. Do you smoke? No. Have you been with anyone who smoked recently? Yes. Please describe. A friend of mine 3 days ago. Do you encounter this person often? No. Have you been bullied as a child? Yes. Describe, the doctor commands. Chris's heart beating faster than a drum, his fingers twitching. Frightened by his recollections, Chris looks at the doctor. I do not want to talk about it. Is this all you have to say? Strauss asks, looking up from his clipboard, clutching his mouth. Yes, Chris responds, the doctor writing it down. Did anyone in your family suffer or die from cancer, cardiovascular disease, or stroke? Yes. Describe. Hesitating, Chris again replies, I don't want to talk about it. Sighing, did anyone suffer or die from obesity or unhealthy diet? No. The doctor puts down his pen and clipboard to then hand Chris a piece of paper. From now on, till the day of launch, you are to report here. How about my work? It's all taken care of. The three shake hands and say their goodbyes. Chris returns home, where he calls another tense meeting between Jacob and Grandpa, showing them the letter. I'm going sooner than later. Why are they pulling you out now? Grandpa asks. I have no idea, Chris, his body shaking. However, we planned this, so you know what to do. What time do you have to go? Jacob asks. 4 a.m. That's too early, Grandpa says, astonished. I guess they want to keep it secret as possible. Anyways, this is it. It's either now or never. I pray for your safe journey, says Grandpa. Come home safe. Chris enters the hectic airport. Luggage in hand, he checks in with the receptionist, who directs him to a long line of people awaiting baggage checks. While expecting his turn, Chris eavesdrops on nearby conversations. Since the aliens are so advanced, a husband complains to his wife, why can't they check in the stuff for us? Larry, the wife responds, they're similar to teachers like me. I can teach and tutor my students, but can't interfere with them. The thing which bugs me is they've been studying us for so long. Why can't they tell us what to do? That's not how it's supposed to work. A stressed woman ahead of Chris calls over a nearby airport official. Couldn't you guys speed things up? We're doing the best we can, ma'am. In a split second, she reaches into her bag and gives the man her ticket. My flight boards in 13 minutes, and I've been waiting in line twice as long. I understand your discontent, but please be patient with us. We've few to work on many. Later. Next! A uniformed officer shouts from his desk. Chris makes his way over to the desk, feeling the sweat coming from the man. Where are you headed? The man asks. Geneva, Switzerland. Why? Chris shows him the letter he got the day before. The man's eyes widen as he instantly turns to his boss, whispering into his ear. Chris feels his heart pounding as the boss gestures to another man to take him and his subordinates' places and walks up to Chris to command him, Follow me. He picks up Chris's luggages as they slide through the airport to a secluded terminal with an enormous passenger airplane docked to it, and a line of people awaiting boarding. Chris steps into the line and prepares his ticket. Hi, a young, energetic voice from behind startles Chris as he looks to see a vibrant, 30-year-old brown-haired Mexican man. What's your name? Hesitantly. Chris. What's yours? Marcos. They shake hands. Where do you come from? I'm a local here. You? California. Nice. Chris nods, looking at Marcos's casual clothes. What do you work as? Farming. How about you? Business. Awesome, Marcos says enthusiastically. What brings you here? Invited. Same. You ready? As ready as I'll ever be. You? I'm ready, he says confidently, then looks ahead to a well-dressed U.S. official at the front of the line, standing on a desk. Good morning, the authoritative voice pierces the air. First and foremost, thank you all for your cooperation to partake this voyage. This trip wouldn't have happened if people like you didn't sign up to do it. He waves a brightly colored white name tag and portfolio in the air for everyone to see. Each of you will individually receive these. These will help you pass through specially marked facilities in the city, and they're the only ones you'll get, so don't lose them. When you land 36 hours from now, prematured agendas are assigned to each of you individually, and you'll all be given a short break before preparing to head on this trip. Again, thank you for your cooperation and have a safe flight. The mood in the room feels invigorated as Chris feels exhilarated for the journey, but also worried for what is to come. The passengers grab their name tags and portfolios and board the plane.